The administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, Scott Pruitt, has been under heavy scrutiny for some of the ways he has spent money on travel, security, and pay raises for his staff. He's now facing at least 11 investigations related to a variety of such charges. Now, as William Brangham tells us, Pruitt is in the spotlight yet again, this time over a trip to Morocco.
The Washington Post and others reported that Pruitt's trip to North Africa last December was arranged in part by his longtime friend, former Comcast lobbyist Richard Smotkin. A few months after the trip, according to the Post, Smotkin was awarded a one-year, $40,000 a month contract with the Moroccan government. Federal laws prohibit public officials from using government resources to financially benefit their friends, but the EPA has insisted this trip was proper and that Smotkin didn't attend any official meetings and that Administrator Pruitt did not fully know about Smotkin's ties to the Moroccan government. The purpose of this trip has also been publicly questioned by some lawmakers, and so was its cost, which reportedly topped $100,000. Juliette Alprin of The Washington Post helped break this most recent story about Scott Pruitt, and she joins me once again. Welcome.
Hello.
What else can you tell us about this trip to Morocco and the questions about it?
So there are a lot of interesting aspects of this trip, but I would start with the fact that, first of all, many people, as you noted, questioned why the administrator was going there. It is true that he did spend part of his time working on a bilateral environmental chapter of a trade agreement between Morocco and the U.S. However, according to the reporting that we've done, he was very focused on the issue of natural gas exports from the United States to Morocco. That's what he focused on in the run-up to the trip and also while he was there. And again, much of this trip was arranged by Richard Smotkin. So this is a friend of his who has worked as a lobbyist in different capacities, and both some of the information we got today as well as yesterday shows that he was intimately involved in essentially serving as a liaison between the Moroccan government and Pruitt's top aides, both as they were trying to decide what he would do, and once they arrived in Morocco, he joined them. He was a constant presence, whether it was in social events as well as some of the official meetings on the itinerary.
So the question about this, I guess, would be that Smotkin helps arrange the trip and in some way helps get Pruitt to Morocco. And then a few months later, Smotkin gets this very lucrative contract. That seems to be the ethical question here?
Yes, that's the most pressing ethical question that's raised on this. Interestingly, he registered as a foreign agent last month, and that's when the contract was signed, but it was retroactive to January 1st, so 2 weeks after they returned to the United States. And the liaison that he worked with in the run-up to the trip, who was on there, is the person who ultimately gave him the contract.
Shifting gears a little bit, two of Scott Pruitt's top aides recently resigned. Tell us about who those men were and the timing of this.
Yeah, just this week, two of Pruitt's top aides are formally leaving the EPA. That includes Albert Kelly, who is one of his top aides who oversaw the Superfund program and the initiative that Mr. Pruitt's been pursuing, which he's been very focused on, and Pasquale Nino Parada, who is the head of Mr. Pruitt's security detail. Both of them were top advisors to the administrator who weighed in both on the issues which they were in charge of, as well as other issues, hiring issues, strategy, and things like that. And so what we're seeing is that Mr. Parada today was scheduled to meet with House investigators and has come under great scrutiny for some of the recommendations he made, which led to, say, Mr. Pruitt's first-class travel and other activities. And then Mr. Kelly, who by all accounts had taken a serious role and policy-oriented role at the department, is under scrutiny for some of his financial dealings back in Oklahoma.
As we said initially, Scott Pruitt is under 11 different investigations, and many have wondered why he's still on this job, but obviously the president still has full faith in him. And many have pointed out that this is probably because he has been so tenacious in undoing President Obama's environmental regulations. One of them has been lowering, apparently, the fuel emission standards for automobiles. This was a big part of the Obama legacy and something that Scott Pruitt has been rolling back on. Just this week, California and 16 other states have said that they are going to file suit to try to block the EPA from lowering those national standards. from an automaker perspective, if you're wondering and you're looking at California and these states arguing this and the EPA arguing something else, that's going to cause a lot of confusion for the industry.
Absolutely. It's a difficult time for automakers who are trying to decide what sort of car should they manufacture just a few years from now. We're talking about model year 2022, which obviously goes on sale in 2021. So what's happening is that they are, on one level, they did initially ask the Trump administration to potentially roll back these standards, but now, given that California and the states allied with it compose roughly a third of the nation's auto market, they're trying to figure out what kind of cars they'll be producing and for whom, and that certainly makes these decisions difficult.
Juliet Alperin, thanks so much, as always, to help us wade through all this.
You're welcome.